Giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai by Hashem Hawachakwadash, saying double honors to our apostles and elders. Here at Great Millstone, peace and blessings to the Lord's hopefully elect. So this channel put up a video, Zealots for FTW. Not sure what that may mean, but the title of the video was Be an Effective Teacher, not a lame ass nigga. That's what they're going to say, part 2. Now, the video, these men that's teaching, the video has showed that this is Sakari DFW. And what stood out right away is how every one of these men all have a head covering on their head while they're teaching. Now, it's highly unlikely that every single one of these men decided that when they was going to go teach that they all were going to put on a head covering on their own. That's unlikely. It could be the case, but that's unlikely. Okay. There's another, as you can see, the brother on the right there, he has a do-rag and his hat on. Do-rag and his hoodie on. The teacher has both the do-rag and the hat on backwards. Because, you got to maintain that image, right? The reader has a do-rag on. The brother next to him has a hat on backwards. And the guy over there has both a hat and a face covering on. I don't, that's hard for me to believe that they all decided on their own to come out and wear that, which leads me to believe that they probably have some type of commandment over there in the Sakari to where, if possible, wear a head covering. This is just me speaking as a man and just of what we observe. I don't know any other Israelite group that actually goes out of their way. Okay, even what's his name, the deacon, who's no longer part of Sakari, but he makes it his goal. All these guys, they make it their goal to teach with the head covering. This leads me to believe that they perhaps have a commandment over there from Sakari to where if you are able to put a head covering on. You know what I'm saying? And what that would show is as an act of defiance against Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, which really is no surprise. Like the elder Yahshua always like to reiterate, the Sakari were not followers of Yahweh Shai. They were just, self-willed, really a bunch of self-willed kids doing their own thing. And if this, so what we like to draw your attention to is these scriptures here. This just shows the hypocrisy, because at the very opening of the video, the first thing they're doing is reading from 1 Corinthians. So, the same old hypocrisy from these Israelite groups, because to them, Paul is just a man. And at times he's speaking the truth, but then at times he's not. So, at times he's the author of confusion, but at times he's not. So when, these scholarly little young boys, because that's what they are, okay, whenever they decide that Paul writing is correct, and that's when they'll use it to try to make themselves seem like they're deep or scholarly in the scriptures, or that they're deep, or that they're some real teachers. When it comes to asking for some financial aid to fund whatever it is they're going to do, they're going to write to Paul, to portray themselves as these, teachers, and they follow the scriptures, and right, they don't break the law, right? But in the same, in this same chapter, they're quick to run to if a woman comes up and she's out of order. Here's what they go to right here. 1 Corinthians 11. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am Hamashiach. I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinance as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Yahweh Shai, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Yahweh, and the head of Yahweh Shai is Yahweh. So they're quick to say, this woman is out of order. The order is Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, man, and then woman. But then if you go on, it says, every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. The very next verse tells you not to cover your head. But as you can clearly see, they do it intentionally. Intentionally. That's what makes me believe that they have some type of rule where if they go out and teach, if you can wear a head covering, then do it. This is just me speaking as a man. Ain't no way y'all all just decided we're gonna go out here and we gonna wear a do-rag. Y'all had to formulate that. You had to communicate that. Guaranteed in their everyday life, when they go to work or to go to school, whatever it is, they ain't wearing no head. Only when they gotta put on for the camera or when they go out and teach, they make it their duty to wear a head covering. Guaranteed. Which is what? That's defiance. That's against the scriptures. That's defiance against the Lord. Now, there's nothing that they didn't already heard before several times over. It's hypocrisy. You know, they can't justify it because, you know, they're basically saying Paul was right in these first 3 verses, but the next verses, he don't know what he's talking about. Look, it's hypocrisy. You can't reason with them. They're not going to get it. There's a strong chance that they are not followers of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? And that they might also be a part of that Sakari that was done back then, that was set up back then. And what happened? They were all disbanded. They started betraying one another, and the Lord destroyed them. So it says, every man praying or prophesying with his head covered dishonoreth his head. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. For that is even as all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image of the glory of Yahweh, but the woman is the glory of the man. Okay, right. So one of these days, one of them women, they gonna be heed to these scriptures right here. And when they go up there acting the fool, whatever it is, and those men of Sakari are gonna run to that verse right there, one of these days the woman gonna say, do me a favor, read the next verse. And it's going to be a sight to see. It's going to be a sight to see. Okay. So we're going to draw your attention to the account in the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 4. Right. This is when we were dealing with unruly Israelites and Israelites who were making pacts with the enemy for their own financial vain gain and actually coming against their own people. So there's an account of this guy named Jason in the 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 7. It says, but after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest, promising unto the king by intercession 360 talents of silver, and of every revenue 80 talents. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise, and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and write them of Jerusalem by name of Antiochians. So this guy wanted a position of power. He wanted to be high priest. And it just so happens their leader over there, who's very adamant on wearing a head covering every time he teaches, who said Paul is the author of confusion, says that he's all about wearing a head covering. And this is why you see those men over there always wearing a dang head covering. I'm pretty sure they have some type of commandment over there. And that doesn't mean every single one of them all the time. But come on, do you see that? How does that just happen? That's the only Israelite group that I know of that do that. Even IUIC don't do that. Even IUIC believes that Paul, when he says that you're not supposed to have your head covered, they don't even do that. But it's the only Israelite group where you got a bunch of young men, unruly, who do that. Put 2 to 2 together. He goes on to say, which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. Right. So it's always somebody who wants a chief position, a high position, that's willing to sell their own people out for their own reward, their own gain. And then at the same time, you have these men sitting down with Vocab Malone, who is a known enemy to the Israelites. The only Israelite group that would do that. IUIC wouldn't even do that. Okay? You're going to sit down with Vocab Malone, the devil, who's a known enemy to the Israelites. When King David himself said, I have not sat down with vain persons or ate at the table with dissemblers. The word dissemblers is a hypocrite, someone who's hiding his true intent. King David wouldn't even do that, but yet these guys do that. Paul wouldn't even do what they're doing, but yet these guys do this. And you think it's going to end good for them? And then, I'll keep going. It says, he forthwith brought his own nation to the Greekish fashion. And if it's one thing their group is known for doing, is trying to merge the truth with the world. Have hood, have holy. Going out teaching with a hat on. That's trying to merge the truth to the Greekish fashions. Whereas the priest is supposed to separate the clean from the unclean. Their leader, his goal is to try to merge the two. Okay, and notice his target audience is always going to be the young men. Why? Because 9 times out of 10, they're simple. It says, and the royal privileges granted of special favor of the Jews by the means John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid, he took away, and putting down the governments which were according to the law, he brought up new customs against the law, like wearing a hat. You don't have to listen to Paul. Paul's right is not authoritative. We pick and choose. That's look, in summary, it's called being a hypocrite. Okay. It says, for he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now, scripture says, things are written aforetime, written for our learning, what then it is now. So that same spirit of Jason is back, and he's making these men wear hats when they teach. Guaranteed, when they go to work or they go to school, when they go out to eat with the woman, they ain't got nothing on their damn head. But maybe they do. Maybe they're taking it too. Maybe they're making the hat a part of them. But I would like to draw your attention to this man known as Jason, who the scriptures later we're about to read is going to be acknowledged that he indeed is no high priest, has made our people to sin by transgressing, by trying to making new customs against the law, and taking the chief young men and trying to merge them with the Greekish fashions, trying to merge the truth with the world. Have hood, have holy. Right? Sitting down with gangbangers and relating to gangbangers. I'm a chief priest, but I'm also a gangbanger, so don't fuck with me though. All right. Everything that Paul said not to do, such as being unequally yoked with the unbelievers. He goes on to say, now such things was the height of Greek fashions, and increased the heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch and no high priest. So Jason was acknowledged as an ungodly wretch and no high priest, because nothing he's doing is of the commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, but rather his own. And he's merging the Greekish fashions with the truth, whereas a priest is to separate the clean from the profane. So the scriptures talk about false prophets. It talk about false teachers. It's your job to discern who's the truth, teaching the truth, and who's not. Okay. As 2 Peter 2:2 says, but there are false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destructions. And many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth shall be evil spoken of. And through covetous shall they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. That's your job to determine. We're calling it out through the Spirit. We're making spiritual examinations. This is an observation that I've just happened to notice, that they like to teach with a hat on. They're dishonoring their head, and they probably have a commandment to do so. which means that their leader is following the same footsteps of Jason. And the Spirit eventually is going to reveal if we indeed found who Jason was. All right? With that, shalom.